where I'm pictured at though? Am I good right now? Oh, what does this say? Got it.
Hello. Hi,
Hello.
Amy.
Good morning, people. Good morning, Sylviane. Good
Good
morning,
morning.
Montreal.
Good morning, Boston and everybody.
Every Anglo out there.
I tried to put, do you like my background? Because
I
honestly,
love it.
I needed a little sunshine today because it's
Well, that's
kind of
it.
gray.
And you know what? There's no better feeling than being around palm trees and, feeling your body laying on that hot sand with that cool ocean breeze and
That
that
salty
salty.
smell.
Yeah.
But you
So
get that in
refreshing.
Boston, right? You get a bit of
Oh,
this.
yeah. I mean, even right where I'm living now in Beverly, there's a ocean about a mile away. So you can really, get that beachy feel. I mean, it's not like I'm right on the water, but I can smell it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
Yeah, we all need sunshine, right? We all need vitamin D.
Monday.
We all
How was
need
your
great
weekend?
friends.
How was your
My
weekend?
weekend was good. My weekend was quite good. Did I do anything we started our TikTok and our podcast. We're getting going, guys, on our logo, or our name is going to be SASS, Sylviane and Amy, Soul Sisters. We're going to be shooting the show all the time as much as we can. We're going to be shooting lots of stuff, but we're going to keep it PC for now, huh? How about you? We were talking a lot about menopause in our last show and, what women go through.
Yeah, it's not easy. And I find at this time of the year, like I just spoke to a friend of mine this weekend and she so stressed and she feel, like I find that around me, like even my neighbor, like, there's just a lot of stress that's
right. Sucking the life out of people.
And I think it's with, the time change is coming up. I don't know when the time is changing. Do you know when we're going to?
I think it's going to be pretty soon in the next couple of weeks. I want to say, I was just thinking of that. I know when the days get shorter, it gets a little colder. Everybody feels like nesting more.
And that's
I always
true,
feel
right?
like
That's
big hearty food.
It's a real feeling
yes.
that seasonal depression. I know some doctors don't really believe in it, but there's a lot of research to back this up, and we really have to take care of ourselves and laugh.
Absolutely. Laughing, smiling, even laughing, crying, that releases so much endorphins and so many good, happy hormones, right? It's cathartic to kind of get it all out there.
It's important.
Well, yeah, I mean, around this time of year, I think everybody, starts to struggle with getting back to the routine and maybe the cold weather setting in. And that's part of the reason that we wanted to do this, was to introduce your kind of naturopathic part of like eating well and getting enough rest, getting enough exercise, sleep, making sure that you have good positive influences around you so that you're filling your heart and your soul with good, no toxicity. There's enough in the world as it is. Like I always say, control the controllables, because there's so much that we have no control over, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely.
I mean,
today's post that I did, because it was Monday, I was inspired from that saying that's pretty powerful. It's very simple. It's called one day at a time. Right. And that's what my post on my Sylviane Nutrition is. But it's like Mondays, you get up. I felt that way too. You get up, there's not much light right now because there's no sunshine today. It's a very cloudy day, rainy actually.
Right.
And then you just like, oh, it's Monday, I have to start the routine. The weekend is over. I think every Monday it's like a generalized
spring cleaning almost. Yeah, it's that letdown after you're planning for some huge momentous occasion, right? Like, you're go because you're planning your wedding or you're planning an anniversary or whatever. And you have all of this, hype and energy and excitement and worry and all that. And then when that's done, it's kind of like a letdown process, right?
Yeah, it's like
and you're kind of left with what next.
And that's okay. And that's what I was like writing about. Like, it's okay to feel this, like, can we say it? We don't always have to feel cheery and chuffy and everything.
Right.
Yes, there's a lot of power, but it's okay. We have to, like you said, it's a release to cry. If you need to cry, by all means, cry it out. And it's like a cleanse, crying.
Absolutely.
It's like
both men and women, as we know, we both raised boys and girls. And, is it nurture, nature? I mean, really, boys are just as tender-hearted and as sweet, as girls. I mean, they both display both sort of non-gender specific qualities, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they can be very, I mean, some of my kids are more sensitive, the boys, over, you know, my daughter per se. So it really is just, I guess, surrounding yourself with the support that you need in life, right? When you're going through these times. I mean, you know, the reason that you and I are doing this is, one, because we've had so much life experience between us, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
it's like, you know, I'd love to talk about the stressors of marrying again, or even embarking on another relationship when you've been in a long-term relationship with 4 kids, 5 kids, and then you're, you know, in your 40s saying, what am I going to do now? How
Yeah.
old were you? Were you quite 40 or not?
I met him I was 39 or 38. Don't even know that.
But that's okay. That means things are
Yeah,
going well.
that's it. I was gonna be, actually, I was 39. I was 39
Okay.
because I always said that 40, when I turned 40, he was there because my mom threw me a surprise birthday party, and he was
Oh,
there,
that's
like in
right.
a restaurant, very casual, but he was there, and he didn't know, we hadn't met my dad's family, like on his side, my
Oh,
uncles and
that felt
cousins,
so
and
good.
it was just meant to be. And I felt, you know, it's easy to fall when you get into a divorce and you know, everything gets settled, then you just like, there's a lot of emotion that you have to deal with, right? It's like a
Right, right.
mourning period, I think. And then
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
was like,
And you got to
anyway,
process that
yeah,
before your heart and soul is ready to, you know, delve into something new, because there's always emotional baggage that we need to kind of clean up ourselves before we can step forward,
mhm.
so we don't make the same mistakes, right? Because that's always so easy to do.
The morning was definitely real for me. And I would
Right.
say to anybody that's listening is that it's okay to mourn, because yes, you didn't want this. That's not what, you know, you got married, you didn't get married to get divorced. I mean,
Right,
I don't
right.
think nobody
Yeah,
does that, but you know,
exactly. We didn't stand at the altar and go, till death do us, piss me off. I mean, if you don't piss me off, then I'm not gonna divorce you. Or if I see other girls that I think are kind of cute, I probably will cheat on you.
yeah, that's it. You don't really think that when you're that big day, you know,
No,
but
right.
it's okay. Sometimes you have to get out of an abusive, like whether it's emotionally, physically,
Yep,
or like where you don't feel good, or there's just not a healthy
right,
communication or respect or love. But anyway, like it's
right.
just it's real. But then when you meet somebody else, it's so nice, it's a high,
Right.
but then it comes like everything, when there's other children, like you just said, Amy, like
Yeah, yeah,
it's another, because then it's another ball game, because there's stepchildren,
absolutely.
and
Yep,
or there's other values, or there's
right.
like
That
it's
parents, there's a real parent,
co-parenting,
biological parent, right?
and that's real too. But one thing I've starting to see is that family is family. So like
Right.
I consider you my family, but
Hmm.
family is family. I have my family. I mean, my
Right.
wonderful
Of course, I'm
parents,
your
my
most
sisters.
important family. We all know that, but that will always be the case because I demand the most attention.
But family, that's it. So then you create like another family, just so that the children feel love, and that everybody is
Exactly.
able to communicate. I would say that what do you think? What's the number one quality to be step parenting, or having another relationship
I
after
think
your divorce?
I would say, you know, well, first of all, to be a good parent, and we all know that parenting is trial and error, no matter how much
Yeah.
we study, we learn, we educate ourselves, we listen, you know, we're all going to make screw ups along the way. We're
Yeah.
going to not
Yeah.
have handled the situation or traumatize our kids in some way, which of course we didn't mean to. But I think
No.
step parenting, and because, you know, I'm speaking from experience, I've been a stepchild like quite a few times over. Because of my really, really good functional family, I can tell you that. But yeah, so I mean, I think, to me, I always made a vow that if I was a step parent, that I would always treat them exactly how I did my own children. Now, exactly is really a science too. I mean, now that I'm 56, saying like always, never, exactly. I mean, we all know that's just fictitious, and you're just kind of effing with your own mind, right? But I mean, truly, but I firmly believe that it has to be whoever you love, you have to love with whatever comes with them. You know what I mean? And I don't mean accepting alcoholism or drug addiction or physical or emotional abuse, but if you're going to give yourself to someone fully after already being married and having children with somebody else that you thought you're going to stay with for the rest of your life, I think it's critical that you do have a pure heart through and through. You can't just be nice to somebody because you're dating somebody, and then when it goes into living together and moving in, that now the child or children are a pain to you, because that just, they came before you. That's how I've always looked at it, right?
Yeah, no,
So,
and that's a very important point. And but it doesn't mean that it's easy. You see, this is where
God, no.
I think that a lot of people think that, okay, it's easy. And yes, maybe in some cases it could be easy, but you make it easy by going through the hard times and pushing through. And I think in anything in life, but it makes it very tricky with young kids. And with this pandemic, I don't know how it is in the States, but here in Canada and in our province, it's been really, really hard for some families that were cooped up and just did not.
Well, look at the alcoholism. I think alcoholism or alcohol sales was up like 300%. At least, like, I don't know if it's just in the United States or it's just in our area. It's huge. And domestic violence. I mean, we're post-pandemic as well, but our kids, like our youngest, were like 17, 18, 19, those ages. It's not like we had babies. If we were home, I mean, we were home with all of our kids all the time, so we're used to a busy household. But when you have kids that are getting to be school age and then they can't be at school, and you have parents out of jobs, out of work, or out of money, or circumstances that just push the envelope past it ripping and shredding. It's like if people aren't coping well on a good day, how are they going to cope when you have more issues, right? More pressure on you. And
that's another, I think when we discussed about this podcast, we thought, you know what, we went through a lot. And I wouldn't claim not all for sure by all means, but through a lot in our, raising 5 kids each, and the marriage, the divorce, the stepchildren,
and you had stepchildren the same age. I mean, when you married Michelle, Monica was the same age as Julianne, right? Or like right in that age. So that was a huge triumph for you, being able to Monica being an only child and then coming in with 4 siblings, and you guys really, and it really is up to you, Sylviane, because the mother dictates a lot of the dynamics. Well, I shouldn't say dictates, but
no, I was home.
I think the mother is the one, right?
I was home more, and there's it depends of the family, but I mean the way I raised my kids and the way I wanted the value. I mean, it's of having like a pack. So for me, she was a joy to have, but there was a lot of tribulation and rides and roller coaster rides and
as it would be with all your not regular, but all your naturally born children.
And this is what I realized too, so much like for all of you out there that are like going through a separation, or you have children and you're feeling guilty, because I lived with a lot of guilt for many years. Even when I met my
guilt just sucks.
I'm like,
guilt is just a horrible waste of emotion. But
from being at so many groups, parental groups and children and women and families and men, and realizing that it's not only through when it's not because you're a step parent or that you're not married to the father of your children. I think there is first of all, I think it's the fast pace of life. I think that it just gives an extra obstacle for the family to get together, and it's real, and the struggle is real for parents or co-parents or step parents. So it's just, we're all in this together. No, not on the
Right.
same place. Like I know like people are fed up of hearing this, but it's just, I just want people to know that it's, because I felt so guilty about, oh my gosh, I'm not with the father of the children.
Right.
I
It's
did,
embarrassing, kind of. You feel like, oh gosh, I mean, especially because we weren't young mothers like teen mothers, but for our generation, I mean, I'm 3 years older than you, but for our generation, we were like, my first I had at 25, whereas
Yeah.
most of my friends were having at 35, 37. So like my last child was at 37, right? And so it's, yeah, it's amazing how we all go through our different phases through it and how we cope. I mean, you don't kneel by the side of your bed as a little girl and say, oh God, please, you know, make sure I have a million kids and one with special needs, and then be left by myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not the ideal thing that we dream of, but we you can't tell what happens. You know what I mean? I mean, for you and I, we had such strong Catholic upbringings that we were both like, you know, you want to keep your family together and
Yeah.
make
At
everything as
all
good as
costs,
possible.
and it's,
Exactly.
but
Yep.
then, you know, realizing that happiness is, and being understood and being respected. I'm not talking about respect like the authoritarian respect. It's
Right.
just, it's the respect of one another, meaning you don't
Exactly.
necessarily agree with it, but you're able to listen and talk and understand. So it comes with compassion, right? I think that's what you had mentioned, like
Exactly.
respectful
Yep.
with compassion. And that's, I think that's the trick of understanding like anybody. And I think in this world, it's
Absolutely.
another cliche thing, but we need a little more compassion for anything, like
Yeah. And empathy. You
empathy.
know,
Yeah.
empathy is something that we're missing so much, I think, in, you know, especially the generations that are coming up. I think there's way too much emphasis on, you know, all the esoteric things rather than like what really matters, which we know. I mean, you see girls really trying to be like Barbie dolls or have different stuff done to them because that's what they see out there in social
Yeah.
media. They think that's what you're supposed to look like, or you're defective otherwise. Well, you're not defective.
No.
You know, whatever your body was, how you were born with that. I mean, yes, you can correct it, you can sculpt it, you can lipo-sculpt it, whatever you want to do. But also just loving yourself as is such a big, important thing, because when do you stop when it comes to plastic surgery or something? When does the line get drawn? And I guess if you're doing it because it makes you feel better about yourself in a real
That's
manner,
important. That's good. That's good.
right?
And I know some
Totally up
people
to
that do
you.
it, and it's more power to them because it's
Absolutely.
good, right? It's like it, I think
Change them. Yeah.
it's
Like say you
not,
had a honking huge nose out to here, like a Pinocchio nose, like I'm talking to you and my nose is touching your nose. I mean, you're gonna get that sucker done, right? You're gonna be like, come on, I don't have to care if I go on the worst show, the worst surgeon on earth, just get this thing off my face. You know what I mean? I
of
understand
course.
that.
You need that, but it's true to, you're right. Look, imagine like just here we're doing a Zoom and we're looking at each
Yeah.
other like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, do I have a
Scrutinizing, like,
pimple here?
ooh, should I have put makeup on? Ooh, should I polish
Look
my
at the
teeth more? I
wrinkles,
know.
my white hair, like, oh my gosh, you know, like it doesn't end. Like, you know, like 30
No.
years ago, we didn't have that, or even 10 years ago. I mean, really,
Right.
this is
Yeah.
very new. So the young girls, I think that's why we have to stick together. The young boys too, I hear
Absolutely.
that it's difficult for them too. It's really,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
you
Now
can't,
it's coming in men too. It used to always be the women that were bulimic, or, you know, we struggled the most, but now you're seeing a lot of men that are, you know, going kind of through the same things that women go through in terms of their, like, you know, their dermablading or dermaplaning, whatever it's called, like all this super stuff to their own faces, which once again is to each his own. Whatever you do in your own life that makes you happy, I am so all for it. I think that's a great, because if you're being authentically you and you feel good and you're living your life in a wholesome, nice manner, then more power to you. Just making sure that it's not to please or not to get attention. That's maybe not positive attention for you.
no,
But
no.
I mean, you know, it's just like we talked about with having your children at a younger age, we are starting to see our children in more adult forms of, reference, but we're still learning so much too, because it's
Mhm.
changed so much, right? With all the social media and all that, we're kind of growing with them. Like, I notice all of my kids have a different level of understanding of technology, right? Like Tamsin being 19,
She
she can do
probably,
like everything, right?
yeah,
Like Nathan, right? And then
yeah.
it's like some of your kids are very technology. I don't know what that word is actually. Is it technologic? I can't think of what the word is. Anyway, though, some of them are smarter with that stuff, where it's like, I can barely figure my